Hi, this is Dean with the Worldwide Trekking YouTube channel, and I am talking about trekking to Mount Everest Base Camp. Maybe you're preparing, maybe you're signed up, maybe you're thinking about going, and I wanted to give you a few tips. So first of all, you want to train. You want to get ready. You want to sign up for your trip and get excited to go. A couple months before your trip, you should be, doing some hiking, even walks, treadmill. And when you're doing that, it's a good idea to wear a day pack with some weight in it. Doesn't have to be anything you need for your walk, but it does put a little weight on your back for training and it helps you out. The better prepared you go over there the better you're going to feel during the trek. The healthier you're going to stay, and it's going to be a better experience throughout. So get excited and train for the trip. You're going to want to gear up. We have a lot of videos on gearing up for your Everest Base Camp trek. In my gear room, I go over everything that I bring and all the things. Some things are worth spending more money on. Other things you might have, or things that don't matter as much as long as you bring the right stuff. Things that I would make sure that I had spent a little more money on or get a better quality is boots. Boots are important to have. Your feet are going to be happy. And when you have happy feet, the whole walk's going to be better. If you have boots that aren't sufficient, they're not fitting well, it's not going to lead to a great experience. So get good boots, wear them around before you go over. Don't wear them for the first time when you get there or just before your trip. You can break your boots in by wearing them around town, wearing them to work, wearing them to the store, wearing them on hikes, taking walks in them. Put time, hours in the boots are going to be a big benefit to you when you get over there. I'd also invest in a good jacket, that shell layer with the hood. You can layer a lot of ways underneath it, but that shell layer when you get up and the air is cool and maybe the wind's blowing a little bit, that's your real mountain protection. So there's a lot of ways to stay warm underneath by layering up underneath your shell layer, but a good Gore-Tex shell is going to really be something that you want to fit well and protect you from the elements. Another good thing I would invest in is a good sleeping bag. 0 degree, -20 degree bag. Sounds like it's rated really cold, but when you're up high in the valley, you want to stay warm at night. You want to get good rest. You don't want to be in your bag freezing or even just cold so you can't sleep. You want to get in that bag and feel like you are comfy, and really helps you rest, relax, and sleep. So get a good sleeping bag. Don't overpack. A lot of people overpack. Know that on your trek, you're going to wear a lot of the same clothes during the day, and then you're going to wear something comfortable in the evening. So you can bring socks and underwear. They're pretty light, but a couple pairs of trekking pants, one a little lighter, one a little heavier, is going to be sufficient. Layers, sure, you're going to wear the same shirts again and again and again on the trek. When you arrive at a tea house, generally what I do is I take off the boots, my socks, I let those dry out and air out. I shake out my pants and put my clothes out to air out a bit, because probably I'm going to be wearing it the next day. I clean up, and then I put on something comfortable, warm, dry, so I can stay warm and comfortable and healthy around the tea house, and again, relax. So, don't overpack. Make sure you have something for the evenings, something for the trail, couple changes of those important things like socks and underwear, and you should be good to go. Best time of year to go, basically there's two main seasons in Nepal: spring, April, May. May is when all the Everest climbers are on the mountain. So if you want to see the climbers at base camp, you won't go into their base camp, but you would see base camp and all of it set up. That's the monsoon season. June, July, and August, I'd avoid it. It's going to be raining. It's going to be cloudy. You're not going to see the high mountains, and you'll probably have a hard time getting flights in and out. Again, in the fall, September, it's going to be a little warmer, a little cooler into October. And then my favorite time of year to go is the end of October into November. The crowds tend to go back, and the things quiet down in the valley, and the weather's still good and clear. It's a little cooler, but it's worth it. So that's my favorite time of year. Another thing that's good to have is a power bank. I bring a power bank. They do charging, of course you need a travel adapter when you travel, all-in-one type travel adapter, so you can charge your power bank in Kathmandu or as you travel. But a power bank is useful when you get up above, say, Deboche on the trek. After Tangboche, you come into Deboche. That's about the last place that you can charge in an outlet, either in your room or somewhere around in a tea house. Once you get above there, it's going to be solar. There's going to have some charging behind the desk at the tea house. I bought this guy on Amazon for about $35, and it'll charge my phone, which is what I use mostly when I'm over there, again and again and again. So it works for those days I'm in the Upper Valley above power that's available for me to charge. When you head up, make sure that's topped off. You should be good to go. Another good thing is if you do bring a battery or a camera that takes a battery, you can always buy some extra batteries like GoPro batteries, or I use an Insta360 or a regular camera. Buy some extra batteries, and it's a good way. But I try not to rely on the tea houses to charge. Oftentimes it's overcrowded, it's slow, you pay for it, and by the time you pay for it a bunch of times, you might as well buy a $35 power bank. Use hand sanitizer. Anytime before you eat, you should be using hand sanitizer. You should be washing your hands. Anytime before you put your hands in your mouth, you want to stay healthy. Keep your hands out of your mouth unless they're clean. And when you're eating, make sure that you're washing your hands and using hand sanitizer at lunch, when you're taking snacks on the trail, anytime. So hand sanitizer in like a little pocket in the side of your day pack, using it all the time. It's in hopes to keep you more healthy. That being said, above Namche Bazaar, I usually don't eat any kind of meat. So kind of go to that. A lot of white carbs, potatoes, rice, that kind of thing, soups, noodles, some vegetables, and momos, things like that. But that's another thing with meals on the trail. But make sure you're using hand sanitizer all the time. The menu on our treks, we order off the menu all our meals. That being said, the menu doesn't change very much. I find that for people, especially when appetites get sluggish in the upper portion of the trail, that trail snacks are good, and even snacks that they can load up on at the tea house at the end of the day. If you get a gallon-sized Ziploc bag and pack that full of all your favorite trail snacks, it's probably sufficient. When it's harder to eat, when the menu that you're looking at hasn't changed and you've lost your appetite towards fried noodles or rice or other things that are on there, some beef jerky, some power bars, some other little snacks can help you out, especially when you get up to, say, Lobuche at 16,000 into Gorik Shep, those upper portions where some trail snacks will really come in handy. I also bring electrolytes. I like a little pouch of what they call emergency. It doesn't have a lot of sugar. It's got electrolytes in it. But what it also does is, in a 1 liter Nalgene bottle, it kind of cuts the just water taste. So it gives it a little bit of orange or raspberry or whatever it is. Not too much, but just enough, because I'm wanting to try to drink about 3 or 4 liters of water a day. I'll drink 1 liter before I head out in the morning. I'll drink a liter at lunch. I'll drink another liter at the tea house when I arrive or so, and I should be good to go. So 3-4 liters a day. Electrolytes help get some of those water down. A lot of times I'll make one and say, okay, I'm going to drink this whole bottle. Drink that whole bottle. I know that sometimes when you arrive at a tea house, You might have a headache, you're feeling sluggish, you just arrived at a 14 or 16 foot altitude, you've made your way up, and hydrate, rest, you'll feel better with a little bit of time. I often see people make mistakes by putting too much weight in their day pack. Another thing, don't overpack. You don't want to overpack for your flight in, for the porters or the yaks that are carrying your duffel bag, but also on your own body. Go with just what you need. You probably need like some sunblock, your phone or camera, a layer change to either add or shed when you're on the trail during the day, some water and maybe some trail snacks, but go as light as you can. You don't need that big multi-tool pocket knife. You don't need the book that you're reading. You don't need a lot of those things on the trail. Lots of fancy gadgets. Just add weight to your body, and after multiple days, it really adds up. Another thing with the trek to base camp, you can get Wi-Fi for communication. You pay for that each evening. You can decide when you want to do it. Say I want to catch up, and I buy a Wi-Fi card, and I catch up on all my stuff and that, and then the next night I don't do it or whatever. If you do want to stay in communication with family and friends at homes, I recommend the InReach Mini 2 is what I have. It's a great way to connect, send some messages out. I can let people track my progress. If family and friends are concerned about you and you just want to stay in touch on the trail and as you go, send some simple text messages. There's different plans, but you can turn it on for a month, and you can even have, for a reasonable amount of money, have unlimited text messaging, and it keeps you in tune via satellite. So that works out pretty good. On the trail, you don't have very much skin exposed. I always wear long pants. I usually have long sleeves on, but you do want to protect yourself from the sun. So good sun hat, sunglasses, and sunblock. I personally like sun sticks where I can rub it on my face, kind of back of my neck, over my ears, then rub it around a little bit. Sun sticks are convenient. If you're wearing gloves, it can be in your pocket. It's easy to kind of get your cheekbones and the exposed skin that you do have with a sun stick, and you're not using lotions and creams all over. It's kind of a personal preference on my side. Another thing that's important is I usually never internationally travel without a little med kit. Sure, you can have some blister patches, some Band-Aids. Those are always convenient. For us, we have a big med kit. The guides are all medically certified. We do med checks every day on our group. We have a Gamo bag and oxygen just in case, for a professional organization. But for personal use, when you're traveling over, say, to Nepal, a little med pack like this comes empty. Bought this on Amazon. You could use a Ziploc bag, but in here, it's a good idea to bring some Pepto-Bismol, Imodium AD, like an anti-diarrheal, some ibuprofen. Some people have sensitive eyes up in the high, dusty environment. A little Visine. Some people like some nasal spray, some things like that. Cold and cough tabs like the Theraflu kind of little gel caps, that kind of thing. A little variety of over-counter meds, and I like over-counter medications for travel are good to have. When you get in the valley or even in Kathmandu, if you went to a pharmacy, it's going to be hard to find what you're looking for. And the name of the game up there is staying healthy. It's oftentimes I see people get a cough or a cold or sore knees or something like that. So having your own personal supply is good. It's hard to get anything above Namche Bazaar. And if you did go to a pharmacy, they're not going to have things that you're familiar with. So bringing a little variety of that is really nice to have in the event that you need something. Lastly, I think acclimatization is super important. Being patient and going slow each day. Don't focus on the finish line each day. Don't focus on just being at Everest Base Camp. Focus on enjoying the journey. If you enjoy the process, if you enjoy the journey, you're going to have a good time, and you're just going to slowly chip away at this amazing trek. You got to soak in the culture. You got to soak in the villages and the people. Surrounded by the highest mountains in the world, you're looking up at Amadablam and Nuptse and Lhotse and Cho-Oyu and Mount Everest and all these other beautiful mountains in this beautiful environment. Take it all in and enjoy the journey. Don't just focus on that moment. I'm going to get my picture at Everest Base Camp or up off Kalapatar with Everest in the background. If you enjoy the journey, those are the people that I see do the best. Those are the people that I see have the most rewarding and fun experience. And that's why you're there. So just some helpful tips. So hopefully that helps you if you're getting ready to go to Mount Everest Base Camp. And if you have any questions, always feel free to contact us. We run trips in the spring and the fall. Our group size is limited to 14 people with a professional Western medically certified guides, a local team of Sherpas. We help you accomplish your goal, getting to Mount Everest Base Camp. Contact us at Worldwide Trekking and like, comment, and subscribe on our videos. It really helps us out. Thanks again and have a great day.